On one of the earlier episodes of American Artifact, where we were here in Normandy, we came out to this place right here. This is Holdy Battery. Now, a lot of people are familiar with Brecourt Battery from the book and series Band of Brothers. Holdy Battery is the sister battery of Brecourt in the area of Saint Marie du Mont. And we told the story of Dickie Doyle, an unfortunate paratrooper who was killed in this hedgerow right behind me. Well, after Holdy Battery was secured by the Americans, they turned this into an aid station. And Eric has brought a few things back that are connected with a guy who served right here in this area. We happened to bump into the guy who runs Holdy Battery and owns this place, and just got a little bit of a Jeep ride around the area. Well, this building right here, I mentioned that after the fighting that took place at Holdy, this place turned into a regimental aid station. Well, this spot right here is where a guy by the name of Dr. Lage established an aid station for the wounded paratroopers right here in the area.
We're in Holdy, just outside of Saint Marie du Mont, and this is a site where one of the first aid stations was set up by Dr. Lage. Dr. Lage was a surgeon in the 502nd Parachute Infantry Regiment. He was part of 2nd Battalion, and I wanted to bring some of his insignia here today. He got the Silver Star in Normandy and this very rare Type 8 Eagle patch. But this is him, and he this was established just after D-Day, and he started running between Holdy here and the main hospital that was set up a little bit further down the road in Heesville, which eventually became the main 101st Airborne Hospital for this area.
So the gentleman who owns Holdy Battery also has a bunch of photos that are connected with this place. So here you can see some German prisoners who have been captured, and if you look at the roof of this building, well, that is this building right here. Now the hedge of course was not there at the time. It has grown in the years since the war, but yeah, that's where this photo was taken. Okay, here's another photo that was taken from this spot. Again, you can see those German prisoners in the background, and right here is Doc Lage, and again he's standing right here in front of the aid station, and again you can see that roof in the back. Now, with medical treatment in World War II, there were 3 echelons of treatment. The first would be like an aid station, like the one that we have here at Holdy. This is to patch guys up and to get them back in the field if the wounds are minor. If it's more serious, then they get moved on to the second echelon, which is a casualty clearing station. So there was a casualty clearing station not too far from here, so we're going to jump back in our vehicle and head over to where the local second echelon was, right here in the area of Saint Marie du Mont. We've moved over close to the village of Heesville at a place called Chateau de Colombier, and this is where the 2nd Echelon Casualty Clearing Station for the 101st Airborne was located. And they actually have a monument here. It says, in tribute to the 101st Airborne Division, who established here at the Chateau de Colombier, the first Allied surgical hospital on Normandy soil, June 6th, 1944. So, if at the aid station where Doc Lage was doing his work, if the cases were more serious, well, then this would be the next stop. And it wasn't just medical instruments that Doc Lage had on him. Old Doc Lage also brought a camera.
I wanted to show a couple of these photographs that Doc Lage took, and they're spectacular photos because they're not just colorized black and white photos. They're true color photos. They're called color chrome, and he snuck a camera. They weren't supposed to have cameras along, and he took a series of photographs. But what's so unique about this is it shows what 101st Airborne soldiers looked like on D-Day and in the days following. They're super detailed, very interesting, and one of the things that's most interesting to me on this particular one is this trooper here has a German belt on, and you can see the belt buckle and the ammunition pouches. But very, very amazing photos. And this one I wanted to show you, that this one actually has, this is Doc Lage in the picture himself, and not sure exactly where these were taken, but they were taken within the first few days after D-Day. And it's interesting to bring them back here. This is the monument to the 101st Airborne, but it's really to the 326 Medical. If you look down here, this symbol on the helmet is the symbol for the 326 Medical. And they had a huge surgical hospital set up here.
We've moved slightly over from the memorial to the grounds of the Chateau de Colombier, where the regimental casualty clearing station was set up for the 101st Airborne. So Doc Lage would have been making runs, from the aid station to this place right here. There was a chateau here that I've heard had been hit by an American bomb. There was also a dairy barn on the premises where they set up like a field surgery center. The reason being a dairy barn, well, it's going to have good drainage, so it would be able to drain fluids and blood and things like that. But in this barn right here, well, you would have had a lot of wounded paratroopers moving through and being treated so that they could either get back out into the field or move on to the 3rd echelon. So we bumped into a nice gentleman here on the premises, and he has allowed us to come inside the barn and take a look around. So here in the barn, you would possibly had treatment down here on the lower level. And then if we go up here and climb these steps, well, up here you can see we have this big open space here in the upper level of the barn, and this is where all of the hospital beds would have been. So you can kind of think of this as like maybe the recovery area, and then the cases that were much worse, well, they would be moved on to what was called the third echelon. But yeah, really neat to be able to come in here and see these facilities. Now, if a wounded paratrooper had moved through the first and second echelon and was still in need of medical treatment, well, then the medics would move them on up to the third echelon, which would be the field hospital. Field hospital here was located on Utah Beach. And Doc Lage was a part of that system that helped to treat the wounded and helped to treat men on both sides who were in dire need on D-Day.
So on the top of this group of insignia is Dr. Lage's Silver Star ribbon, and I'm going to read his citation for the Silver Star. It's pretty spectacular. Captain George Lage, Medical Corps, United States Army, for gallantry in action at Holdy, France. Shortly after midnight on 6 June 1944, Captain Lage, who was suffering from a sprained ankle and a chip fracture of his other resulting from his parachute jump, assembled a small group of parachutists and started for his assembly area. Captain Lage moved the group about 800 yards into the small village of Holdy under frequent and unlocated enemy machine gun fire. In spite of his own injuries, Captain Lage established an aid station in a nearby farmhouse and immediately started rendering medical treatment to casualties by candlelight. As daylight came, heavy fighting developed and the casualties on both sides were severe. Captain Lage continued caring for both our men and the enemy. Two other medical officers who appeared later urged Captain Lage to be evacuated, but it was not until after Captain Lage assisted aid men in bringing in a wounded soldier under enemy rifle and machine gun fire that he consented. His devotion to duty, untiring effort, and heroic action were in accordance with the highest standards of military service. Entered military service from Oregon.